Thai American Association of Washington, D.C. is concerned about our members' health.
I'll go back to those 10 warning signs. You may not see all 10 warning signs. You may only see one, you may see two. You may see one that's a lot and none of the others, or a few that are just kind of off. Don't disregard those, okay?
10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Difficulty completing familiar task. Confusion with time or place. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. New problems with words in speaking or writing. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retain steps. Decreased or poor judgment. Withdrawal from work or social activities. Changes in mood or personality. 10 steps to approach memory concerns.
The first one, what changes do you see? That goes back to those 10 warning signs. What do you see your family member or your friend doing that's out of their normal? If they have a habit of not remembering names and that's normal for them, then that may not be a problem. If they always remember names and they're now starting to forget, then that's a change of their normal. What else could be going on? And this is an important thing. Like I said, if they're normally not very good with names, then that might be their normal. But what else is going on? Have they been sick recently? Have they had an injury that has limited their social interaction? Anything else that can be causing the symptoms that you may be seeing? And then you're doing what you're doing right now. You're learning about those warning signs, the signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's and other dementias, so that you can be more knowledgeable and know what to do going forward. Consult other people. You certainly don't want to gang up on your loved one or your friend, but you want to verify that if you're seeing what you're seeing and they're seeing, they may be seeing it as well. Okay? Now's the time to have the conversation. You know the warning signs. You've seen the warning signs. You've talked to other people and you know that other people are seeing what you're seeing. So now we're going to talk about having the conversation. It's hard to decide who has the conversation with the friend or the family member because it's not an easy conversation to have. But certainly talk and decide who's comfortable with them, who they're comfortable with to have the conversation. And then when is it best? If they're a night owl, you certainly don't want to do it at 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to do it in a busy coffee shop where there's lots going on that might overstimulate them. So decide where's best and where are they most comfortable that they may be more receptive to this conversation. And then what are you going to say to the person? Prepare yourself. Take notes for the things that you're having that you feel like they're having issues with, so that you can talk to them openly and honestly about what you're concerned about, and then be their support. If they need to go to the doctor, if they acknowledge what's going on, say, I'm here for you, I'll go with you. As I've aged, I realize that another set of ears at a doctor's office is a really good thing because I don't hear half of what I'm supposed to hear. So having someone to support you as you go is very important. One conversation may not be enough. This may be a start, and when I addressed it with my mother, who was a strong personality, she told me, everybody my age can't remember anything, Cindy. There's nothing to worry about. And I kept on and I kept on, trying to not be a nag, but to be persistent enough. And she finally let me send a card with her to the doctor of my concerns. And that started our conversation. Reach out for support, which is what you're doing and what we'll talk about, because the Alzheimer's Association is awesome for that. Next step. Now's the time. We've looked at the warning signs. We've had the conversation. They've acknowledged that something's going on. It's time to see somebody. So normally you go to your PCP, your primary care physician, and they'll be the one to maybe do the initial testing, and then they'll send you on to maybe one of these specialists. A geriatrician is a person that specializes in older adults. A neurologist, the central nervous system and the way our nerves work. A neuropsychologist who does that specific testing for dementia and Alzheimer's, from visuospatial stuff to word finding difficulties. A psychiatrist may be involved, or a psychologist for those psych issues. We have treatment options. We have clinical trials. We have the ability to plan for what's next. So this is why it's so important, okay? We've talked about paying attention. We've talked about having the conversation. How do you approach that? Because it's a hard conversation to have. And that the importance of early detection is so vital, because as we progress in the Alzheimer's Association in our research, earlier and earlier detection means earlier and earlier treatment. There is no cure right now, but we're working on it. We are working on it. Okay, here's your test. True or false? There is currently no way to diagnose Alzheimer's disease. True? True? How many? True? False? How many? There are a number of assessments that we can do to, with a relatively high degree of accuracy, certainty, determine if it's Alzheimer's or another dementia. So Mary went into the doc and they took a very detailed medical history. They did a physical exam. You can do lab tests, cognitive testing, brain imaging, MRIs, PET scans, CT scans. Do dementia-like symptoms always result in a diagnosis of Alzheimer's? No, not always. So Lydia and Patricia were talking again. They've taken Mary to the doctor. They think it's dementia, but could it be something else? And it's very important to go through that PCP and those testing so that we can rule out everything else. And anywhere from electrolyte imbalances to stroke to brain tumors, it could be a ton of other things. So we want to make sure we have the right diagnosis. The last bullet is very important. The stigma and misconceptions about the disease, believing that nothing can be done. 13 years ago, when my mom was diagnosed, she wouldn't even speak the word Alzheimer's. She wouldn't address it. She wouldn't acknowledge it. And that was a barrier for us getting her treatment. So as you let me come and talk to you about all this, we're trying to decrease that stigma, knowing that we can work toward making a better quality of life going forward. So the daughters talk again. And they're right on it. What do we do? The Alzheimer's Association is here for you. The Alzheimer's Association, and I'm going to read this off, we lead the way to end Alzheimer's and other dementias by global research, by reducing risk of dementias, and by early detection. Our vision for the Alzheimer's Association is to see a world without Alzheimer's or other dementias. The way we are available for you is on the phone. We have a 24/7 helpline with master's trained people. 1-800-272-3900. You can call at any time to get help or resources or just a person on the other end. Online, we have an extensive website at alz.org. I encourage you to go take a look at it. And then throughout our communities, we have support groups. We do coffee clubs, and that's the Community Resource Finder. So alz.org/CRF is Community Resource Finder. And there's a ton of those. Okay. What can you do to help out to battle Alzheimer's in our fight? Join us. Volunteer. Even if you only have a few hours a week, you can walk to end Alzheimer's, which is what I've been doing for the past 5 years, and we can certainly talk about that. I'm an advocate of that. But alz.org/volunteer is where I found becoming a community educator. If you're not so much for what I'm doing, advocacy is huge. We just got 2 laws signed for advancing Alzheimer's and dementia research and providing support for communities through our advocacy, and that's alzimpact.org. You can also find on the site a trial match so that we can continue throughout. I'm part of a group that is worldwide on research for Alzheimer's and other dementias. And Trial Match can go there, and they do need able-bodied people. I shouldn't say able-bodied, but they do need non-dementia patients as well for those controls. If you're interested in that, take a look. And then the love of mine is the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I tear up every year because you go and we raise money, and we have 6 walks in the Northern Virginia and DC area. And you come together for a walk, a 1 or 2 mile walk, and you see that you're not alone. Because Alzheimer's and other dementias, as a caregiver, as a person, it makes you feel very alone. And every year I go, and there's 700 people holding up their flowers, just like me, knowing that they either lost someone, or they're caring for someone, or they have Alzheimer's. You're not alone. And our last thing, the Walk to End Alzheimer's is normally in toward the end of the year. The longest day is a 1 day on the summer solstice, the day with the most light, to shine awareness for Alzheimer's research. And a good friend of mine in Alabama does a bridge day. They play bridge all day long and raise money for the Alzheimer's Association. But you can do baking or whatever you'd like to do. All of that is on the Alzheimer's Association website, alz.org.